Hi, welcome back to another MetaTalk with Michael and Yana, and Pasha off scene here. Thanks, Pasha, for getting us set up. And we are out at Katya and my house out here in the country, and we're ready to have a little discussion about divine love. So divine love is something that I've wanted to talk about because I keep mentioning it in a lot of the videos, and it was really one of the most important sort of what would I call it, a process or a prayer or a technique. I don't know, choose your vocabulary, but it's a real thing, and I've used it my whole life, and it's made a difference. So I wanted to approach that.
How did you come to know the art of sending divine love?
Well, Don used to call it the art of sending divine love, and it was one of the first things that he talked to us in class about. I think it was his opinion that if anybody came in the door and they left 10 minutes later, at least they have this one tool which can really change their whole life. The thing about sending divine love is knowing how to do it is very easy. It's almost anticlimactic. But remembering to do it is the thing, because it does not align with any other process. You know, like you eat breakfast every morning or dinner and
Coffee.
And yet there's such a powerful tool, if I could call it that, and to forget how to use it or forget to use it is really the strangest thing. And I've been forgetting, and then when I remember and it softens everything, I'm like, why didn't I? So divine love.
How did you come to it? So through
In
Don
class,
Weldon
yeah.
and Creative Guidelines is when you were first introduced to it.
Yeah.
And you said it's kind of very simple, but is it personal to each person how they do it, or is there kind of like a formula or process to it that?
I think there's like divine love basic 1.1, and then as a person uses divine love more and more, and they actually begin to feel it and to identify with the process and the sensations that it can create in the body, that people learn how to be less and less restrictive with the sending of divine love. So you got a bum something or another, elbow, let's say, because you're a tennis player. Let's just make it up, right? I could say, well, I want to send divine love to Yana and her bum elbow. Through this process that I'll go through in a moment, your elbow would receive the divine love, but why did I restrict it? Why wouldn't have I just said to send love to Yana?
My entire being.
Your entire being.
Not just the elbow.
And why would I just stop at Yana? Why not Pasha? And why would I stop at Pasha? And why wouldn't it be Yana's family? And why wouldn't it be anybody like Yana? And then why wouldn't it be the entire population on the planet? And then why would it just be on the planet? What about all the people that have lived on this planet and died? Why? The love can travel to any dimension because it's being brought through a higher dimension, through the physical, and then something about it shifts. I'm not quite clear about that. But Don would say that there's these special messengers that deliver the divine love, which is a substance. So we can generate this or attract this and kind of bundle it and then sort of hooah, right?
Yeah.
And then, but what takes it there? There's help. Apparently there's help for that. It's weird to me that it doesn't, I don't know about that, it doesn't matter. But the idea of restricting it, that moved away after sending love many times because it's like, well, why not? And the beautiful thing about sending divine love is that it also purifies the person that's sending it. It's a multifold thing. In the same opposite way as if you think rough thoughts, something not beautiful, you pay a price for that internally. Not like someone putting the price on you, but if you're angry, right, it doesn't feel good. It's hard to kiss your kid on the cheek if you're angry, and it passes through. And that sending of divine love actually raises your vibratory rate. And when your vibration rate is accelerated, it improves your health of your finer bodies, and the aura extends, and just everything around you becomes a little bit softer. So if you imagine dry skin, and you take that divine love like lotion, and you put it on your skin, and it soothes the skin, except the difference is this divine love goes through to the bone, but the bone being the spirit. It's not just about the body. It's a great practice to think about other dimensions and this expansiveness. Because when I go through the day, I think, oh, I'm driving to work. Oh, I'm getting a donut. Oh, right? At those moments, my thoughts are not expansive. And most of the day, my thoughts are not expansive. But when I send love, I'm giving myself that moment to expand and also to receive that love.
Yeah, it's not so self-centric as well.
It doesn't need to be, because it's by default. It comes through the person.
I was going to ask you, why is it important to send love to oneself while sending love to others? But you explained it as you're the channel. So it's going through you first.
It's the precursor of being a channel, I really think, for me at least. The other thing is sending divine love is not time sensitive. It's not linear. So I can send love into my past life. It just does not matter where or when. That's why it's this crazy, beautiful, unrestricted thought. And some people struggle with that because maybe they're not used to no rules. The rule's love. It's very beneficial. It's remembering. And there's ways to enhance it, and we'll get into the techniques in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, how have you seen sending divine love benefit you in return?
Well, sometimes I don't see it necessarily, but I feel the difference within me. I feel my mood change, my dreams change, the way my perspective changes. Maybe it's not glass half empty, glass half full. And that is an inner shift. There are moments where, I'm trying to remember a specific time, where I've seen an outward expression of like, oh, there it is, it's working. You know, something felt easier. So an example that just came to mind would be public speaking. So if I was about to go on stage and I felt nervous, and I sent love into this, I wouldn't necessarily see it, but maybe I realize inside that it's easier for me to be on stage speaking, or that there's not as much ums and ahs and oohs, and it flows. It flows because it's kind of reduces the friction of thought, you know?
Sounds healing in itself.
It really is. And the thing is, for me, is I found it to be life-changing. The deal is it would have been more life-changing if I remembered to do it every day. I mean, it's so ding-dong, you know, why didn't I? And why don't I? I'm working on that.
Post-it note on your mirrors.
I'm not into tattoos. They're kind of like bumper stickers to me. But that would be one tattoo that I would get right here, is SDL, Send Divine Love. Because and for a while, I would write it with a Sharpie marker.
I've seen you write on your hand sometimes.
Yeah. And that type of reminder, eventually I wouldn't need, and it becomes a practice. It's
even when something is so captivating to you and your life and your experience, we still forget. You know, just...
Church is pretty handy because it's on a schedule, right? We got this day, Sunday, Saturday. It's kind of laid out for, I'm going to make a space in my life for that moment, that community, and you're probably not thinking about work at that time. You know, that type of space being created every week would be terrific. Some people are able to do it. They have a practice. And they don't have to rely on the structure of somewhere else.
Right.
That's very helpful to have that structure. The shift for me may come across rough, but the type of church that I would like to go to doesn't seem to exist. It's wrapped up in legacy. I love churches. They're beautiful. They're really remarkable places, and I do feel like they're special places. The thing is I don't like getting laid on with all this history, and I'm like, I got this guy, you know, in the Stations of the Cross. I mean, it's a heavy story, right?
Well, yeah.
So...
The old school.
Yeah, you know,
churches.
There's a famous architect, Frank Lloyd Wright, and he was a bit of a dill, but he said, I believe in God, I just spell it Nature, nature. So there's a lot of different ways to look at where is one's cathedral. And obviously I'm working on that cathedral being within me.
Yes.
I see the church as a community-centric place, and I think that's very important. Yeah.
Because that's how I see it. We are the church. So we're we're carrying the light and the love, and yeah.
Well, that's the essence of the church, and I think maybe it's easy to get. I jumped to a thought. You know, in the old days, there was no other type of structures like those cathedrals. People were living in huts. And then all of a sudden there's this bam. Well, all of a sudden 300 years, you know, they took a while to build those cathedrals. It's very impressive on a person that saying that this organization can create a thing of this beauty. I would like to know what the next phase is. Where does all that resource go? We don't build cathedrals anymore. Really, I don't know. I don't think so. It just meant the practice of Sunday or Saturday is very, very helpful.
What do you think that can do to one's mind? You know, if you're practicing sending divine love, however you practice it, however consistently, do you think it has an effect on our mind and our mentality?
I think it goes beyond that. I think it helps leave the physical centricity of thought. Sending divine love at first is kind of like using the body as a part of a vehicle. After a while, sending love, there's this automaticness of it, and it's not even like it's coming through the body itself. It's a moment of operating from another dimension.
Okay.
It's a bridge between the dimensions, is what it is. In that instance, that all of a sudden I could, when I'm in the good place of giving time to my practice, I can be in two places at once. I can be here in my physical life, and yet I can be connected and be aware of my spiritual life, which I believe far outlasts my 137 years, the body, you know, it far outlives that. And Don would always talk about that even after death, for those, you know, I'm a reincarnation guy, that knowing how to send divine love from other dimensions is also very valuable. Yet, there's something special that happens when we bring it through the physical, because we're a bridge into this dimension, that something about it coming through us makes it more applicable in the physical. And I just don't have the pieces for explaining that. I just feel like it makes sense. It's kind of like bring it here, put it here. If I didn't have a body here, what am I doing? You know, it helps sort of. I don't know. I'll think about that.
But I think even someone who's even new to the idea of it, the concept, hearing the words, the body, using the body as even visualization, does help. Like you're touching the tree, imagining everything coming through your feet and through your top, you know? It does, I think it helps.
So I was a little kid when my parents got divorced. If I had known about divine love at that time, and instead of going in my bedroom and crying while someone was arguing or fighting or whatever I didn't like, and I could have sent that and actually seen something change, that would have been so much more valuable than just me getting caught up and feeling sick to my stomach and sad and upset. I could have interrupted it. And so if somebody, I would say this to the camera, if somebody out there and you're in that room and you're crying and you're upset about something, try sending divine love. I mean, there's no downside, absolutely no downside. And it's what do they call it, non-denominational? Yeah, it doesn't matter what you believe. Just try it. It's a surprisingly magical thing. So I send love back to myself in that divorce time when I think about it, because it's not linear time sensitive. Do you know why that's important? From a metaphysical perspective, I'm upset as a kid back in time. Let's say the parents divorce, I'm crying. That energy of the sadness that I had as a kid moves forward. This goes into karma, and sort of this idea of karma is created, you know, by emotion or misunderstanding. So that energetic wave that I created at that point as a kid, maybe I would feel it the next day. Maybe I'd have a bad day the next day because I didn't sleep or something like this. But actually, it goes on much more subtly forward than just feeling it in the body. So divine love, and maybe there's still that ripple effect, right? You drop a rock in the water and it goes out. pretty soon my eyes don't see the difference, but it doesn't mean that it's not
there.
continuing. So if I send divine love back into that time, into any previous thoughts, past thoughts that were less than loving or full of misunderstanding or something like
Pain.
this, yeah, then it negates out what that vibration is creating for me in the future. If you turned it on its tail and said I was full of hate, and that hate moves forward, that something about that vibration of hate is gonna continue my whole life, even if it's very subtle. And maybe if it's one moment of that rage, it doesn't matter. Like that vibration will kind of soften out. But if I have it again and again and again, now I just keep reinforcing that vibration, and now it becomes a creative force. So if, I believe, so if I'm not sending love into that to cancel out that misinformation that's going through there, because it's like, I feel this disruptive hate. I don't, I'm just saying it. I'm asking the universe, create hate and all things associated. It's just as easy to manifest one or the other.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing, manifest $1 million or $1 billion. It sounds weird, but it's the same activity. So.
Yeah, it's because it's healing into your present too, right?
Yeah, it's changing the timeline.
Yeah.
You can, for me, I'll take it out of the life because it could have been an experience. Maybe I was a bad guy and I shot somebody in a past life. I mean, it gets deeper, but if you say, okay, today we'll stay on one life. Yeah, so divine love works for the present and it works for the perceived past, the energetic past. This is no real past, but the energy from the past that's moved into the present.
Into the present.
That energy is actually here now. There's the part of sending divine love that what I like about it is that it doesn't matter what a person necessarily believes in detail. So I could be any religion and send divine love, and it will work just fine. It does not matter what the person believes other than being open to do it. And this is what is remarkable to me. It comes with no rules. There's some strong suggestions, do it, remember. But I think that's great that it crosses those boundaries. And probably if I knew enough about other religions, they have similar techniques or similar forms of prayer that are like that. It's just that divine love, the way that I learned it, came with a technique. Sending divine love, this is what I would do. And I've mentioned this in the past, so I'll talk it through. Before I would sit down, I would want to cleanse myself. I would say this internal prayer. Now, I believe in God, so I'll use the word God. I said, or Father, not because of male, female, but just as an identifier for me. I said, Father, please cleanse me of all past negation. Allow me to be an open, clear, clean channel. And then I would go through this. Basically, at the beginning, it starts with this visualization exercise. Later, it just becomes automatic. I would start with my hands in my lap and my feet untangled. No particular reason, just how I learned. And then I would open up the bottoms of my feet in my mind. This is all mental imagery. It's this fake it till you make it thing, right? Don used to say prime the pump. But that imagery begins to build a momentum. So anyways, I'd open my bottom of my feet, and also I would allow this part of my palm to be open like my arm was a vacuum. You know, the end of the tube of a vacuum? And I would sit like this, and I would allow this sustenance, this light, and I give it a tangible quality, not like light, like I'm pointing at these lights, but it's, remember the liquefied pearl dream that I told you about? It's like that. It's almost a little bit, in Ghostbusters they call it ectoplasm, you know? It's not quite the same thing, but if you imagine that kind of energetic, bioluminescent substance, and it comes up in my feet, and at first I don't feel it, but it comes up to my knees, to my thighs, to my legs, and at the same time, I'm bringing it up into my arms and into my shoulders. And it kind of converges right here, and then take it up through my throat chakra and out my crown chakra. And I see this illumination, this beam that goes out the top of my crown chakra and goes, Don would say, to the heavenly host, just up into wherever, just releasing it to the universe. And then in my mind, I would ask for the divine love to be infinitely multiplied by the heavenly host, which is representative of the universe to me. And then I bring it back down through my head. So it goes out, gets magnified, and comes back down my crown chakra into my chest and out my heart chakra. So like a whoosh.
Yeah.
Now, all that happens like instantly after a while. Now, what do I do with it from my heart? This is where I'm saying, I'd like to send an abundance of divine love to all those invisibles around me. This is one of the first things I do. Because I want to make sure that my surrounding is filled with love. If I got any interference of low vibers, I want them to be zinged with some love. A, for a little bit of like harmony around me.
Yeah.
And B, because like either you come to the light or you get away from the light. I mean, that's how I kind of feel about it. Clear. The thing is from a metaphysical perspective, the idea is that free will exists. And so if I don't ask for it, it's not really coming at me to the highest level it can.
Yeah,
My teachers and guides, I believe, can be around influencing me, but they're like under like strict regulation not to put anything on me that I haven't asked for. It's my journey. So I would do that cleansing, and then I would go through this visualization. And then there's a whole document that Don put together that talks about where to send the divine love. There's some beautiful things that a person can enhance as they get a little more clever about it. And I can send you love right now. And in my mind, I'm saying that I ask that this love surround Yana for eternity. And I ask that every day it continue to increase and magnify. And I ask that Yana absorb this at any rate her spirit needs, but it's always available. And then the important thing is I release it. I'm no longer responsible for how that hits you.
Yeah.
And I'm not like checking on you, like,
Yeah.
You bring it into and you release it. And that release is really important to let it do its thing. Otherwise, it's this umbilical of confusion. Because then, if I'm low vibing some days, I don't want to yuck your yum. Just set it free. Trust that it does the stuff.
Yeah.
And that's how I would send love. The thing that changes, as I mentioned a little bit ago, is that whole process becomes instant. And when I was sending love on the way over here in the car, I could feel a block right here. Because I've been upset about some stuff.
Oh.
So when I send love and that block isn't there, it's not an entire block, I feel a tightness. I clear that again. And what's interesting is over time, I've been able to build sensitivities, and I can feel the block if it happened down here, or it happened here, or if it's happening here, or wherever. It's kind of like, oh, am I breathing well? Do I feel anything? And that's if I haven't sent enough love. I'll get those blocks because the energy kind of minimizes. The thing is there's a lot of ways to use that divine love for yourself, and it's not. You can send it to yourself. You can send it ahead into this day, every thought, word, and deed, and every action. Right? That's a common phrase that Don used to use. You wake up in the morning, and if I were to remember to do that, it softens the entire day.
Yeah.
It really does. It doesn't seem like things hit quite as pokey.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to describe what happens when it becomes to feel real. Pasha the other day was saying, when I mentioned my mantra, I'm love, I'm light, I'm beauty, I'm joy, he's like, yeah, do you believe it? And I'm like, well, I'm working on it, right? You fake it till you make it. But there is a shift where all of a sudden, I don't know if I feel those words, but I feel something energetically has shifted. And I'm like, oh, I'm getting closer to it. And it's just a thing. It no longer takes all of these manual exercises. I can just be like, just went everywhere. Like I went nuclear in the most beautiful way. It's like, light it up. It's the bomb. It, to me, is the real deal. It helps with alignment for relationships, attracting people that are also at a certain vibration. It helps with manifestation and attraction of synchronicities, alignments, and abundance. It helps with just the type of nature. Like, does the bear come up to me nice, or to taste my leg. You know, it changes all of these things. I can't think of one thing that it doesn't impact in a positive way. It's just impossible for there to be any downside of sending divine love. It is the key that I've found.